Hey, shut up.
Hope you're not
Aloha.
driving. Aloha.
I am.
You're driving? I don't want to get your son
Yeah.
and you killed.
No, I'm a really good driver, actually.
Okay. I
Like
just
way
want to
above
say
average.
I don't hold myself morally responsible if you crash and die.
Oh, don't worry, I won't.
Well, you'll be dead, but I don't want your family to either.
Oh, well, I won't, so you don't have to worry about that.
All right. All right. So you're saying that you think the American flag and the Confederate flag are racist symbol of hatred. All right.
Well, no, I would have to say this. If it is true, well, maybe we have to define what a racist symbol of hatred is in the first place. Because I believe that anything that you could say about the Confederate flag could equally apply to the American flag. I mean, we have to understand that these are totally arbitrary and subjective evaluations. The value that, or the symbolism or value of something is totally based upon the people who believe in that thing. For example, if you believe the cross has value, for you that represents, Jesus, but for someone else it may just be a piece of wood.
Okay, I'm going to say that while there are some symbols I don't necessarily disagree with you apply to that characteristic, I would say symbols and flags of nations do not apply. For instance, the American flag is not representative of a single group, a single ideology. It is simply representative of America as a country. So it has been voted in as our flag. It means simply that this represents whoever's holding this flag is a representative of the United States. That's all it is. It's just a symbol of our country, and it cannot be used to be a symbol of hatred. That is significantly different than what you would call the Confederate flag, or what do they call it? The rebel flag. It is not a symbol of a nation. It is a symbol of a group or an ideology, which would qualify it as a racist symbol, much like we could say the swastika. The swastika is not a national symbol. It is simply a symbol of a group, which is inherently racist. You can't say that America is inherently racist or is inherently a symbol of hatred, just like you wouldn't say the Russian flag or the Chinese flag or any other flag of the 215 countries there are, however many countries there are. None of those flags would qualify as racist symbols.
Okay, so your argument is that if it is a national flag, it can't be racist. Is that what you're suggesting here?
My argument is specifically the American flag. Because it is a symbol of America, it cannot be a racist symbol. I mean, that it is already a symbol of our country, and the country in itself, the America is not racist. So it doesn't make any sense to say America is racist, that America is a country. Countries can't be racist.
And countries can't be racist.
Countries can't be racist. Countries are just...
So like Nazi Germany
was not a country. The Nazi Party.
It wasn't a country. Nazi Germany was not a country.
Germany was a country. The Nazi Party. The American flag is not a symbol of a party. The Nazi symbol is a symbol of a party, not the symbol of Germany. Germany has its own American flag, its own German flag that is different than the Nazi swastika. Do you agree with that?
No, I've seen many Nazi swastikas in many temples in Bali and Cambodia and other places.
Does Germany have a flag that transcends its leadership? When
I don't understand.
When a different regime or a different group or comes into power, does the country's flag stay the same?
Well, I don't understand what you mean by that.
Okay, well, I'll say in America, when the Republicans and the Democrats switch back and forth, does our flag change?
No.
No. When the Nazi Party was in power, and then now who's in power now, when they changed, did their flag change?
Yes.
their flag, their symbol of their country, the German flag, changed.
Yeah, it did. It was the Nazi flag, and now it's not.
I'm going to tentatively disagree with you on that one, but maybe you're right, and maybe that was adopted after the Nazi Party left power. I do not know for certain.
The third.
Well,
flag, for example, was based on
purple, black, red, and gold. Let's see. I'm looking at the flag of Germany. Anyway, while I looked that up, I mean, even if that unique case is saying the German symbol, so you would say the Nazis changed the German flag from what it was to their own flag.
You realize everything you're saying is entirely 100% subjective, and the meaning is utterly based on whatever meaning you're ascribing to it?
I would say that it is not subjective whether or not the flag of the United States is the official flag of the United States. I would also say it is not subjective that the United States cannot be racist in general.
It cannot be racist. Okay. How do we know that it cannot be racist?
Because it is not an entity like a human being. And to be racist, one must.
So like the Confederate can't be racist either, right?
Well, I mean, it's a symbol of a racist group.
Oh, wait, which one is it, though? Because it was a nation, but then they lost, and so then it's not anymore.
It was not a symbol of a nation. The Confederacy had a different flag. Whatever it's not called the cross. What's it called again? The rebel flag. It has an official. It has an official symbol, but it was just a battle flag.
Okay, so it was a battle flag. Yeah. Even better. So is a battle flag racist?
I mean, I don't know. Would you consider a battle flag racist? We're talking about the American flag, which I specifically said the American.
The American flag is used in all kinds of battles. I mean, look at it. Every battle we've been in.
What does the American flag represent, in your opinion?
Whatever meaning people ascribe to it, just like any other symbol.
Except that it represents objectively the United States. So if someone who is holding an American flag that is an American, that's not objective?
No, that's entirely subjective.
Whether or not it represents America is entirely subjective. Well,
America and the United States are social constructs. They're not real things. So yeah, by definition, it is subjective.
I'm going to say that that's not true either, considering when you say that they're social constructs, that if we all just change our mind, America won't exist anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I mean, I don't know how to argue with that. I mean, every single name, every single symbol, every single language is. I mean, if that's not a winning argument to say that it's not a racist symbol of hatred. By that definition, no symbol can be called a racist symbol of hatred.
That's my point.
By your whole argument, then it can't be a symbol of hatred.
Well, that's my point. I'm trying to link the American flag with the Confederate flag. So any logic that applies to the Confederate flag should equally apply to the American flag. So I'm okay with both being racist or not racist. It's just as long as we're clear that they're equal.
So we accept that the American flag is not a racist symbol of hatred.
If the Confederate flag is not.
I mean, and when you say Confederate flag, I assume you mean specifically the rebel flag and not the actual Confederate flag that represented the Confederacy.
Yes. Or either one to me. I don't care.
Okay. So basically you're agreeing with me then. I just want to make sure that that's clear, that you agree with the con that the American flag are not a racist symbol of hatred.
If the Confederate flag is not. There's a clause there.
Okay. Now,
is the Confederate flag a racist symbol of hatred?
I would say no.
Okay, well then, okay, then neither are. That was the entire point of my argument because they're talking about taking down, Confederate statues. I'm like, well, why don't we take down the Vietnam War memorial statue too? That was clearly and obviously a racist war of hatred.
I mean, I don't think you can have a racist war of hatred.
We killed 3 million Vietnamese, just carpet bombed the North, dropped more bombs there than we did in World War II. Yeah, it's a racist. My Lai massacre, things like that.
I mean, but then you could say that any war we have against a non-American country is racist. So I mean, it's completely arbitrary to call that one racist.
Oh no, because we wouldn't do that to European countries. You think we would be killing 1 million Europeans like we did in the Middle East?
If they did the same, I mean, war is war. It seems like we respond in every war the same way.
Well, no, we don't. We don't rape European countries for their resources.
When did we go to war with European countries outside of the Civil or the Independence War?
Exactly my point. We don't rape European countries because we're racist. We only rape brown-skinned Muslim countries, Asian countries, African countries, things like that. But we're not going to go invade a West.
You're saying
we're not going to go invade
because we haven't gone to war with them, that means that we wouldn't go to war with them ever. That seems to be a jump that I can't see a logical jump.
I never said that though. I said racism plays a part in our selection of targets. I mean, obviously it does.
So we haven't. So when we went to war with, I mean, would you consider Russians European?
We went to war with Russia.
I mean, we are you saying we didn't go to war with Russia?
Well, I don't know. Are we at war with Russia? I don't know.
I don't mean right now. I mean, we were on the opposite sides of a war with Russia, right?
Oh, the Cold War?
Yeah.
Yeah, but look at who was actually dying in these wars. They were Asians. They were South Americans. These are the people who are dying in this war. We weren't in Russia raping Russia for their resources. That's for sure.
Okay. All right. So we'll get back to let's table that. That's a rabbit hole we can maybe go down into in another debate. So let's go back to the real contention I think we see here. Is you're saying that there is no difference between the American flag and then the Confederate flag or any other flag, and whether or not they represent hatred.
Well, all the same arguments against the Confederate flag can equally apply to the American flag. I mean, yeah, that's my argument.
Okay. Would you say that the American flag represents a diverse community of individuals that have differing beliefs and even opposing beliefs?
Yeah, but you could say the same about any flag.
Well, I'm just asking, do you think that the Confederate flag, the rebel flag specifically, not the Confederate flag, but the rebel flag represents a community that has varied and differing beliefs, some that are opposed to one another?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you say the same thing applies to the Nazi symbol?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Because as I told you, I've been to many temples in Bali and Cambodia and other such places where they have the Nazi symbol, and it's not a symbol of hatred there. So exactly as I said, the value or the symbolism is what is subjectively ascribed to it by the people who believe in it.
I think the symbols that you're referring to, though, are not the Nazi symbol, but they are actually the more ancient symbol that resembles the Nazi symbol. Am I correct? It is not actually So it's not a Nazi flag. It is just the same symbol that means something different in two different cultures.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right. So
same symbol. If two different interpretations. Just like
I think there is something slightly different between the symbol itself and then that symbol being imposed on a Nazi flag. I mean, again.
that's different than a Nazi flag. Is that what you would say?
You cut out there the last
Okay.
10 seconds. What was that?
Okay, so somebody's car is swastika in your car, and you say, "Oh, well, that's different than a Nazi flag." Would that be your position?
Well, it depends on who carved it into my car. If it was somebody who was a Nazi, then I would think no, they mean this in the way that the Nazis mean it. If it was someone from Cambodian temple, then I would say, well, no, they probably don't mean it the same way as a Nazi symbol. So I'd approach those two situations differently.
Wait, are you implying that the meaning of a symbol is subjective and that it can mean different things for different people? Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, that is true, because you brought up that symbol of the Nazi symbol being, I mean, when you see the Nazi symbol in Cambodia, what do you think immediately? You think that that's the Nazi symbol.
What?
Right?
Say that again. No.
When you see this,
no, I used to.
You don't.
I used to think that, back when I was more irrational than I am now. I used to, I used to get emotional and take offense when I saw the Nazi symbol, but then I was like, wait a minute, the symbol means whatever people think it means. It's like
okay. Let me refute that idea there. Say you're going out and you're looking for a bar, okay, and you are with, some of your, we'll say you have a couple of black friends, and you and your black friends are going out to go find a bar, and you're walking down and you see this bar that's just, it's closed front. The front door has the Nazi symbol painted on it. Do you go into that bar with your black friends?
Depends on
yes or no.
It really depends on which friends, because my personality is such that I can often be found being the lone troll, or a small group of trolls in a place, and I often troll tea parties and things like that. So
let's say you were concerned about your safety. You just want to have a good time and relax and don't want to make a political statement or start a war or anything like that. If you see that symbol, do you go into the bar? And if not, why?
Well, if it's in America, or if it's where, in Bali?
We'll say in America. If it's in America.
Exactly my point. In America, the symbol means something completely different, which is why it's my original argument is that symbolism is entirely subjective.
I mean, symbolism is subjective in the same way that the way you write words on a piece of paper are subjective.
Yeah.
It's subjective in the global sense, but it's objective in the fact that it means the same thing to everybody who knows what it means.
No, that's entirely arbitrary. You're saying, oh, America stands for freedom, or whatever the hell you believe.
No, I'm simply saying that the American flag is a representation of America. That if you see the American flag stenciled on something, you are justified in assuming that is an American item.
Okay, what is
made
America,
in America.
though? What is America? I don't even know what that
America
means.
is a country.
Okay, so what does that stand for? I don't like.
I mean, it's an agreed upon area of land governed by. I guess governed by a government, but controlled by a government that is recognized by the other areas of land that are controlled by government. So I don't know what you mean when you say, what is America? That seems self-explanatory.
Okay, so is America racist?
America is not racist. America is a country. Countries can't be racist. They aren't individuals.
And so Nazi Germany wasn't racist then, I guess.
Nazis are racist.
No, Nazi
Germany.
The country, Nazi Germany, the country, the Third Reich.
No, you can't have a country that's racist. When you say Nazi Germany,
okay,
that's not the name of the country. It's not Nazi Germany.
Third Reich. Was the Third Reich racist?
The ideology of the Third Reich was racist, yes.
But was the Third Reich racist?
The Third Reich, what do you mean by that? Was the Third Reich racist? The ideology, the words. No, the words Third Reich are.
What is the Third Reich? Do you know what the Third Reich is? The Third Empire, the Third German Empire.
Okay.
The one that came after World War I, the one that came after the second one, the Third Reich.
Okay.
Hitler's government.
So you're asking me, were they racist?
Yeah. Was that country racist as a whole?
No.
They were not racist. Okay, boom. All right. I'm glad you were forced to defend that. Okay. So the Third Reich is not racist. Nazi Germany is not racist, and therefore America.
No, don't. You're confusing. You're confusing a couple things. Nazi Germany is just a name that we give a certain period in German's history. That is not a place. It is not a place. Nazi Germany is not a place. It is just a time period where a certain group, the Nazis, were in control of Germany. Do you agree with that? Yes or no?
Well, I agree that the Third Reich was a country, and you said countries can't be racist.
The Third Reich is not a country. Germany is a country. The Third Reich is not a country.
It was a country. Just like the Soviet Union was a country. Would you agree with that?
I would not. The Soviet Union was not a country.
Okay, what is a country? Let's start there. What, according to you?
The Soviet Union was made up of what? Provinces, not countries.
Republics.
It wasn't made up of countries. It
Republics.
made up. And what were some of the names of those republics?
Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan.
Oh, you know what those actually sound like to me? Countries.
Oh, now they're countries.
So,
but before they were one country.
I got this.
They weren't one country. They were unified into They were unified into the Soviet Union. I mean, it's literally in the name, the Soviet Union. It's the union of countries.
Right, like
Otherwise,
the United States.
Yes, we have the name of the United States.
Yeah, and these were all independent countries when they were first formed. So, come on, man.
I don't think the United States is an equivalent to the Soviet Union.
Oh, okay, why is that? Why is that?
Because they recognize themselves as individual countries within the Soviet Union. States are different than countries. Countries have states. Each, the countries that make up the Soviet Union also have states or provinces or any other equivalent for states.
I think you have a really poor understanding of what exactly a state is, what a country is. These are completely and totally arbitrary designations. The word state, country.
I don't think arbitrary means what you think it means. When you define the United States as the property that it is with these collections of states, and it is no longer arbitrary. I mean, do you think that all the states that we have, that they're arbitrary? When the state...
You don't understand what I mean by that. When you say the word state, you have to understand that these words were intentionally used by the founders to signify that these were independent countries. The word state implies that it is a country. And they did see themselves as independent countries. If you know, I don't know if you know this or not, but the Constitution was not adopted till after the Revolutionary War was over, and this was a voluntary union that they all came in together with. So they were independent countries, whether you're aware of that fact or not.
Do you think that a state could be racist? Does it make any sense at all to say Florida is racist?
Well, I don't know. It depends on how you do the symbolism. Like, would you say that South Carolina was racist or something?
All right, let me clarify. Does it make any sense to say the moon is racist?
No.
Does it make any sense to say the ocean is racist?
No, but once again, when we're dealing with imaginary social constructs such as a state or, an imagined community like a nation,
so what's the difference there? The fact that they have individuals that are living there, is that what would make it racist, or not the individuals, not the actual property itself?
Well, whatever logic you use to determine that the Confederacy is racist or that South Carolina was racist, for example, just apply that logic equally, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Just apply equal logic, that's all.
All right. There is no equivalency between, say, the policies of Nazi Germany and then the definition of Florida. I mean, it seems to me like those are two different things that they're categorically different.
What? I'm trying to. So you understand what a state is, though, right? You understand it's an imaginary social construct.
Saying that when you use words like imaginary, I mean, they're not imaginary. They're not theoretical. They exist, and they're defined.
Can you show me Florida from space?
I'm sorry, you're cutting in and out. What?
Can you show me Florida from space?
I mean, I'm not in space, but yes, you can.
Actually, borders are totally imaginary, completely, 100%.
So if I take a picture of, if I take,
yeah, show me the state border. Show me the border.
No, you want the border, or you want the actual? You want me to put a dot in the center of Florida?
Well, in order to, think about, I don't know if you understand, like, I don't know how far you've delved into philosophy, but when we construct ideas about what things are, to even imagine, the concept of Florida, the idea of Florida requires you to understand to think about a border.
Okay.
Otherwise,
all right, let me put it.
Separate Florida from other things.
Is the state line real?
No.
Like when you're driving down the highway, and the quality of the roads change at a single point, that's the state border. Does that border exist?
It's imaginary.
Does it have GPS? Does it have GPS coordinates? Yes or no?
I don't know what you mean by that. The places.
You don't know what GPS coordinates are?
Oh, the border is completely imaginary. You have to know this. The border is completely imaginary.
Okay. If it has GPS coordinates and it can be mapped, then it is not imaginary.
It absolutely is. The Earth is real. The Earth is real. But borders are absolutely not real. I don't know how. Okay, first, what is real? Because I consider things that are made of atoms, and molecules and things like that. Those are real things, right? Borders are not made of those things. You understand that or not?
Oh, well, I understand that you don't think that they're made like that. When you put a wall, that becomes a border. Okay. I mean, I think we have different definitions.
What is the chemical composition of a border or a nation? What atoms primarily comprise a border, would you say?
I would say carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, just like everything else.
Okay, so that's what borders are. So borders are real, actual material things.
Have you ever crossed a border? You're in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Have you ever crossed it?
I've been to many countries. I've absolutely been.
Have you ever paid a toll? Have you ever had to show your?
Yeah.
So when it's.
But those things are real. But those things are real, not the border.
So the border crossing is real, but not the border?
No, everything that you mentioned can be composed of atoms, not the border. The border is an imaginary social construct. The people who believe that borders are real.
Okay. So if everyone agrees that Tennessee stops at the border of Tennessee, that's not real. That's imaginary. When we draw a line in the ground that is the border of Tennessee, you're saying that doesn't represent the border of Tennessee.
Anything that cannot be demonstrated to exist outside of the material world is imaginary. It's a social construct that exists in your mind.
Does it have a GPS coordinate that corresponds to a map? Yes, it does.
The physical location absolutely does.
And that physical location, if you have anybody walk to that physical location and you ask them, what is this location we're standing on right now? They would say it is on the border of Tennessee and Kentucky.
Yeah, they believe in the imaginary social construct, as most people do. But it's still an imaginary social construct. I mean, this is just a fact. It's a fact that borders are not composed of atoms. That's why you can't see them from space.
Okay, all right. Let me just refute this for you real quick. two people, one from Tennessee, one from Kentucky. Tennessee walks to the border and says, you know what? The border is actually 30 feet further into Kentucky. The guy from Kentucky says, no, the border is right here. How do they resolve that if the border is fake?
Those two people.
How do they resolve it?
Those two people are real. You got to be able to distinguish real things and imaginary things. The people
is that a solvable dilemma? Can you come to a conclusion there? Yes or no?
Well, how do we establish borders?
So it's a little windy there. Are you guys
why
about
do
that?
you think you're not in the Sioux Nation right now? One. Yes, war, conflict, violence, force. These things.
No, you didn't answer my question. When the Kentuckian and the Tennessean are arguing over a where the border is, can that argument be solved? Yes or no?
Force, yeah, with force and violence, absolutely.
Yeah, come on.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it would not be required force and violence. It would simply say, no, you're mistaken. Look, here's our map with the GPS coordinates of the border. I can show it to you. This is where the treaties have been signed. These say the borders exist here, and that's where they are.
Right, that's
that border has been created.
Do you understand that's a belief or not?
I mean, I don't know what you're saying that I think we have different definitions of belief.
Okay, is it composed of atoms?
Yes, they have picked an area on the earth and said this is the border of Tennessee and Kentucky. They have defined that area as the border.
I did not ask if the earth and the physical things that they imagine the border to be on are real. I'm asking about the border itself, the idea, the concept, the thing. It's a thing. Okay. You have to understand. This is a mental thing. If it's not, if it can't be described in materialism, then it's mental.
Okay, so trees, do they exist?
Trees are real. Those are real things.
All right, and when you how do you define them?
They're composed of atoms.
And so, how do you tell the difference between a tree and a bush?
You can feel they have different chemical properties, for example. Okay.
Okay.
I want ducky.
All right. Anyway, we're just going to have to disagree on that. We can talk about that in a different debate. Right now, let's go back to whether or not flags are symbols of hatred. I mean,
hang on a second, man. Do you really think you can see borders from space? Do you believe that? Which scientific instrument can I use to measure the existence of borders?
I don't know. Can you see ground from space? Yes or no?
You can. Yeah, you can see dirt.
Can you see specific? Can you see specific?
You can see real things. Yes, you can absolutely.
Can you see specific coordinates in three-dimensional space?
You can see. Oh yeah, no, exactly. That's another point. Those are imaginary too, right? Like latitude and longitude. You know those aren't real, right? Do you know that?
When you say they're not real, you mean that they don't exist in computers? I mean, they've been defined.
They are creations of our mind, not the material universe.
Do you think satellites and GPS that you hold in your hand, do they have minds? I mean, when you're saying something's a creation in your mind, you're trying to think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're confusing things that are creations in our mind and things that are now no longer creations in our mind because we have defined them and made them. If I make a piece of art and I see it in my mind and then I make it, it exists in real life.
So
when I say
lines of latitude and longitude exist in real life, that's what you believe?
No.
I mean, listen to yourself.
No, I did not talking about lines of latitude and longitude. Those are simply just ways that are split.
Damn, dude. What are GPS coordinates? Tell me that.
You keep jumping from subject to subject. You're saying that
it's the same thing, dude. What do you think? What are the numbers based
on? They're based on a degree and agreed upon division of that we have made of our world. Do you agree with that? Everyone agrees on it.
Also known as lines of latitude and longitude.
Right. I'm just saying we all agree that that's how we do it, right?
And they're not real, right? They're things
Yes.
that we invented in our minds, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Fine. Okay, great. Cool. I'm glad we
Now,
cleared that up.
those are different than borders between countries and between states.
And how are these imaginary lines different from the other ones?
Could we create lines of latitude and longitude using steel cables on the Earth?
Sure, but then all I would say to that is that the steel cables are real.
Okay, so but you're saying, but when we define those steel cables as the lines of latitude and longitude, when they're defined as that, does lines of latitude and longitude exist?
If you define it in that way, if you say this is what a line of latitude is, and it's actually a steel cable.
Okay, so when you say that this is the border between Tennessee and Kentucky, you don't think that that's a definition like we just said with this steel cable that's in this specific spot is a line of latitude and longitude?
Well, I would also say it's completely arbitrary. And that would be like saying, this is the border of Bronson.
Again, it is not completely arbitrary. I mean, even the lines of latitude and longitude are not completely arbitrary because they are made in a certain way. So they're not arbitrary. You divide.
What word can I use? Because I'm using arbitrary in the normal everyday sense. Like I arbitrarily chose this shirt, even though it's not arbitrary. I obviously chose from the shirts that I had, right? So it's not completely arbitrary, but you know what I mean when I say I arbitrarily chose this shirt, right?
Yes,
okay.
I do. I do. You're the one that brought up. I don't know how deep in philosophy you are, implying that you're labeling everything as super. You're arguing over not whether borders exist or whether they're figments of our imagination, even though everyone has stepped over a border. So
they step over imaginary lines. Yes, I agree. I've been in many countries. I mean, of course, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, then why are you fighting this so much when I'm saying that borders are real? I mean, they're real in every sense that it matters. They're real. You can go to them. You can
believe in them. That doesn't make them real. Like, I mean, you have to know that. Is Vishnu real?
All right. Okay. Do you when you're flying to another country, do you fly through the border or do you fly over it?
Do you fly through an imaginary social construct?
No, I'm asking you when you're talking about it. Do you say you drove over or flew over, or do you say you flew through the border? When you're flying, did you fly over it or did you fly through it?
I've never really thought about that. For me, I'm just traveling from one location to another.
Okay, when you come up to a border crossing and you go through it, you're going through the crossing that's there, right? So that is a border crossing.
But it's imaginary. It's not a real thing.
Okay.
People believe in it. I don't dispute the fact that people believe in this imaginary thing, and millions and millions and billions of people, in fact, believe in imaginary things. But at the end of the day, it's not based on material things. There's no chemical composition of a border. It's still a creation of the mind.
Okay. All right. I'll just I agree with you. Well, if we can, we'll move on, I guess, from that. I mean, it's defined through treaties. It's marked on the ground. I mean, the borders are clear. So, I mean,
people believe in them, though. You have to understand that belief doesn't magically make something real.
Well, belief doesn't make something real. Drawing a line and saying this is the border, that makes the border real because someone pointed to it and said, this line that I drew right here is the border between our two countries. That's the border.
It doesn't make the border real. It makes the line real.
Okay. All right. Anyway, I guess there's no point even going back to whether or not we already agreed that flags by themselves are representative of people. So they're not going to be racist symbols, right? The American flag is not a racist symbol. Do you agree with that?
I think it all goes back to what I said originally, is that all value is subjectively ascribed by individuals.
Okay, if somebody, all right, we'll put it like this. If someone looks at the American flag and says, I don't think that is a racist symbol, and another person looks at the American flag and says, I think that is a racist symbol, both people are 100% correct in your opinion.
Well, they're equally arbitrary.
So is one person demonstrably wrong or not?
No, not objectively.
They're not objectively wrong.
Yeah, it's totally
Even though, okay. So I guess we'll have to, I mean, I don't think I can agree with that, because we just talked about, and you just agreed with, the symbols themselves can't be racist. So you've already agreed that they can't be racist. So then the other person has to be wrong, the one that says that it is a racist. The symbol is racist. So if we know that they can't be racist, they can't also be racist.
I never said they can't be racist. Only to the degree that an imaginary social construct can be any human quality. It's really a problem with language. What we're really talking about is the people who that symbol represents ostensibly.
Okay, so can a single...
And many times it's the government, you know, in the majority of times, especially in a battle, for example, that flag actually represents the government, believe it or not, especially when it's worn on the uniform of a soldier who is a government bureaucrat by definition.
Right. Now, but the soldier who's following orders is not racist, right?
Well, he may or may not be, but in any case, the same could be said about soldiers in the Confederacy. Like, most of them weren't slave owners.
Okay. All right. We'll make this as simple of an example, since we're running out of time here. A single word in any language, a single word, can that word be racist? Yes or no?
A single word in any language, can it be racist?
Can it be a symbol?
Can be.
Can it be a symbol, a racist symbol of hatred?
People can perceive it to be. No, you have to wait. Hang on a second. We're almost done.
No, can it be, without a doubt, objectively a symbol of hatred?
Cannot be objectively. It can be subjectively by many people, like billions of people.
Okay.
But not
Can any symbol have an objective meaning?
No. That's what symbolism is. That's what exact. I mean, it's kind of, if you know what a symbol is.
So no symbol can be a racist symbol of hatred.
Well, not objective. Subjectively, they can.
So objectively, they cannot be. So the debate, objectively, the question was, the American and Confederate flags are racist symbols of hatred. That's the question. Are they objectively racist symbols of hatred? We agree that symbols objectively cannot be racist symbols of hatred.
Objectively, but once again, subjectively, they can.
Right, but objectively they can't be, and so all they can be is interpreted as symbols of hatred, but they can't actually be symbols of hatred. So the American flag and the Confederate flag and any other symbol objectively is not a symbol of hatred. It can be interpreted as such, and if it is interpreted as such, that's subjective.
You would have to also throw the Nazi flag into there too.
Okay, so it's clear there's no argument that we interpret the Nazi flag as a symbol of hatred almost universally.
Yeah, but
so it's objectively not a symbol of hatred. We agree on that. But we also agree it's not objective. We also agree that subjectively most people find it offensive and find it as a racist symbol of hatred.
Correct, but it's still not objective.
All right, so we agree that the American and Confederate flags are not racist symbols of hatred.
Well, not to everyone.
Or the Nazi flag.
Not to everyone.
Well, not to. I mean, they simply are not. Hard stop. No, now people can interpret them.
You can't.
They interpreted it. That's what you're saying. You're saying that they are. I'm saying that they are not.
You're confused.
They're objectively not symbols of hatred.
You believe that your subjective evaluation is somehow objective, and you're just wrong about that.
No, I don't. Where is my subjective evaluation coming
As
in?
I told you, some people subjectively see it as a racist symbol. Some people don't. Both are subjective. None of them are objective. So your opinion is subjective, as are the people who disagree with you. It's all subjective.
But the fact of the matter is that they are not racist symbols of hatred, because no symbol can be a racist symbol of hatred.
Subjectively to you. Subjectively to you. That is true subjectively to you.